Closing out the week on the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. We are live on Sportsnet 590 The Fan, Sportsnet 360, Sportsnet Plus. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, Austin Mackey, and Jake the Snake Schultz with you for the next 2 hours. In about 35 minutes, we're going to do a Leaf line where you guys call us up, vent, and we listen.
Are people mean today, Sam, or are they nice?
Our callers rock.
Okay.
I would say that there's some frustrations. I'd say there's some fun. I'd say there's lots of different things.
All right.
So,
Top of the hour, we'll welcome in on a Friday Doug MacLean, former NHL president, GM, head coach. Now, we had him on last week after the trade deadline.
Mhm.
We're giving him a week to see how things have settled in on certain players on their respective clubs. We'll get his thoughts as well. But in the meantime, let's focus on our Leaf Hour edition of our program. And might I say, we're going to need the full hour on this one.
Yeah.
well, we have our Leafs callers, so they'll help too.
They'll help us.
They'll help us use the full hour to say, what exactly did we see last night in a 3-2 victory for the Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers versus the Toronto Maple Leafs? JB, you go first.
Well, I will say that all of the things that we expected to see between these two teams, I think we saw. I think we saw a very good pace, good effort, good energy in the game. I think you saw a Florida Panthers team that was really hard to get through, a lot of interference and picks, and I thought they were physical and they were hard on Stolars, falling all over him, digging at him. The Leafs, as has been the case when they've come up against this team or teams like this in the past, couldn't create, which they haven't created in some while now. The special teams let them down, and in the end, they fall just short. Which, if you had put into AI what's going to happen tonight, that would have been the output.
Correct.
Based on the past.
Do you want to respond or?
No, you.
Okay, I didn't see just short.
Way short.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes. Yes. I
didn't see way short.
did not like a lot of what I saw last night. I didn't see just short. I saw substantially short.
I think when you fall just short enough times, I should probably tweak my thoughts because they're clearly not that close. It's clearly not one bounce away. But,
listen.
Yeah.
I mean, we do know there's a good team somewhere there, right? In a I don't know, contending team. Maybe that's too strong right now, but a team that is amongst, we thought, 7 or 10 that could win a Stanley Cup or contend anyways. So I get what you're saying, but last night I thought was a measuring stick. They had enough time to come home, get a good practice, and really show the Florida Panthers that they're going to be a team to be reckoned from here on in, and just didn't get it last night. I called for a start, which I got, right? Thanks to Max Domi. Like, say what you will about his season, that's as good as it gets for Max last night.
Yes. That is everything he can do in a nutshell.
And through at least my television, I did not go down there live. I didn't get the vibe live, but it certainly came through my television that it was electric after Ty's hit. Max.
Yep.
I saw Ty last night about 10 times. Max's hit, his fight, the energy that it brought the building came through right into my living room. And at that moment, I'm like, yes, that's a statement. And let's go. And I didn't get the let's go after that.
Well, listen, we saw that a couple times because we didn't get the let's go after Knies fought White Cloud, in their game. But even to the let's go factor, you could argue, depending how you feel about hockey, that the let's go starts with Nylander to Tavares 5-on-5 goal. They take advantage, get one less than 2 minutes in.
Great start, Sammy.
Everything was coming up Leafs for 7 minutes.
We got it.
What?
Usually we don't talk about anything about what we saw last night until we're on the air, and that's the case right now.
Mhm.
But I had a sense that, like, you have not been well all day.
No,
Well,
it's a good sense.
Leafs talk is you have to go on right away. And it's like immediately, like, however pissed off you are about watching what you just watched, you have to do it right away. And, last night I went on there feeling pretty down, not going to lie. And I slept on. I woke up. I felt worse. So,
You weren't hard enough.
the thing that really, no, not even that. The thing that really hurts me is what you mentioned there, Kyper, is that it's been bad starts and it felt like they haven't been engaged in the games. And it's like, it got exactly what I wanted from the Leafs last night.
Big play by big players.
They were
and
excellent to start. And Max Domi goes flying through. He couldn't probably believe that Carter Verhaeghe wasn't going to pull his head up. And he got to tee off on him. He gets to beat the crap out of Schmidt. The crowd's going crazy. And I see the Florida Panthers respond 10 times better to that than the Leafs did. They took the game over right after that happened.
Where is the energy through it to go right through your building off of Max? And I'm not saying that we needed 2 more fights, but you needed a little bit of that Canada-US moment where it's like, you want a second one, we'll go a second one. You want a third one, we'll go a third one. But we're not letting go of this energy. And where was McMahon? Where was Nyes? Where were the rest of them to go? If Max at 5'10" and 175 pounds can do that, where's Matthew Nyes to go, I'm 6'3", I'm 240. Let's go.
Yeah, I think there's fundamentally different in that he's on the top line and supposed to be part of a line that scores goals. And I don't think that his mindset is this is an alley fight. It's we're trying to beat that team.
Justin, you don't need to be one or the other. There is such a gray area where you can pick and choose what that means to you.
Totally.
If it's a scrum, if it's an FU, is it going by their bench and giving them a hairy eyeball? I don't care what it is, but it needs to follow up. And it just dies on the vine.
I think there's not enough from this team of recognizing that it's Florida's right now. It's not you guys are them, you guys are them. It's Florida. They won the cup. They're the big dogs. They're in first. That you have to go take it from them. And there does seem to be this sort of, it's competition. It's like, no, it's Florida's. And so you're right that there's not enough. All right, this whole thing is going to have to be a war.
I want to come in here, and boys, I'm a Leaf fan. I really, really want to believe in this group. I really want to have hope going forward about the potential of this team giving every Leaf fan what they really have always wanted for their entire lives. And we all felt at the start of this era that it was going to be, this was the era that would do it, or this is the era that would get close. Like, I want you to talk to Leafs Nation, talk to me, and tell me, after watching what we saw last night with no Marchand, Tkachuk, and Ekblad, I might add, what should give us hope that the Toronto Maple Leafs could beat that team 4-7 in a playoff series?
I'm happy to be the hope guy because I didn't see that game and see a lopsided thing. I think we go into that game with sort of this bias of, Florida is whatever, that they're 10 times better than the Leafs. In that game.
You don't have to be 10. You can be like 1 or 2.
Right.
And I
fine.
think that's what we saw last night.
Well, see, to me, that game is very even. In terms of chances and whatever, Florida didn't get much at all last night. Florida at 5-on-5 didn't get anything.
But they
actually they got the fewest expected goals against.
But they have the puck more. They spend more
time. They didn't have
time.
the puck more. No, they didn't.
It looks to me like they move the puck better. They're quicker on their decisions. Their forechecks are harder. It looks better.
Yeah, and that's it. Maybe it does look better. I don't think any of that is. I don't want to say it's not true because I know it's Florida. And I know people think I'm overcompensating for the Leafs. The numbers like the Leafs last night in that game by a bit. The eye test to me is Florida gets 2 power play goals. The Leafs gets skunked on their power play, which stunk. And otherwise, I'm like this. I see a special teams loss last night. The Leafs were pretty bad on that power play. So can they be good on the power play? You want some hope for Leaf Nation? Can they be good in the power play? Yeah. 2 years ago in the playoffs, they were good in the power play. It's possible. Can Florida, can they keep Florida to 1 5-on-5 goal and tighten it up from there? Sure. I didn't think it was that lopsided.
I don't see a team that moves the puck well. I see a defense that stopped moving their feet. I see stretch passing. I don't see a group coming out together with great support. Mm-hmm. I see constant turnovers. I watch, and specialty teams, but like bad mistakes. Like Jake McCabe taking his eye off of Bennett and just not knowing where he is, no awareness whatsoever. Bennett, not in a million years, should get a free pass to go get that tap in front of the crease without paying a price from
puck
Jake
focused.
McCabe.
Like the Mikkola game is the same thing. Everyone's on the puck and they're like, oh, right, coverage.
Stupid penalties like Kampf. What world do you think you can get that path behind Bobrovsky and keep a play alive? Like,
it's not there.
Don't go in there.
Yeah.
Okay, and here's the biggest one that would have pissed me off the most if I'm Craig Berube, and I'm not even sure it got a real mention last night. We know TSN did the game last night, and we've done enough games where you do get focused on wanting your clip. We've done enough games where it's like you're like, okay, I want that, and you build it like 10 minutes before that and all of that. But last night, no real mention out of anybody on too many men on the ice. Mm. Late in the second period, it's 2-1. Mm-hmm. And you give one of the top power plays that opportunity to go up to 3-1 on a too many men on the ice. Like, that is just brain dead. Mm-hmm. You cannot do that against that team. And you know what's even worse? Same thing happened the game we covered in Utah. Mm-hmm. Too many men on the ice. Go see which guys were involved. Last night, Matthews and Nyes. Monday, Matthews and Nyes.
You see the McMahon change last night, though? The faux change? That McMahon change was camo. That was brutal.
So you're blaming McMahon?
I mean, you can't take McMahon off the hook if that's what you're about to do, but you can't take Matthews off the hook either. They're both on the hook. You got to make sure the guy changes.
Like, I get that McMahon probably gave everybody on the bench the feel that he's coming, but you cannot take your eye off the guy that you're changing for.
Right.
Okay? And they slept.
That's fine.
They absolutely slept.
Yep.
So Nyes goes out, and he's got McMahon.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right? Like
I don't know who was for who, but okay.
Well, come on. It's like a centerman takes a centerman.
Right.
So if I'm not mistaken, it was Lawton for Matthews and Nyes for McMahon.
Okay.
And like Nyes jumps out there. And then by the time he realizes that, oh my God, my man didn't come off, or I don't know what happened, now Matthews is out there thinking he replaced Lawton.
Yeah. I mean, if you think it is a symptom of a bigger things the Leafs need to address, that's fine. If it's just a one-off guys being dumb, be focused.
Twice in 2 games.
Yeah.
Same guys, not focused, not paying attention. I got a real issue with that.
Do we know how to look up how many bench minors? I have no idea to do that, but it feels like they've had a few of them. I feel bad changes or whatever, but
that's the game right there. 3-1 against that team.
Last year they had a bunch, and it was Sheldon Keefe's fault, and we were all over him. But
you can kill a penalty too. You're allowed to kill a penalty. You're allowed to get a big penalty kill.
Those always find a way to bite you in the ass.
Here's the problem that I see. I see a team that came out of the Four Nations break with their top 2 players, Matthews and Marner, playing significantly worse than they played before the Four Nations break. I see a team that is more top-heavy and built on the success of 3 or 4 players than any other team. And so they're more hurt by the lack of success from the top guys. I did some research onto guys who went to the Four Nations. A lot of the top guys have seen their production dip since, particularly the Canadian and American guys who had the week-long build-up to 2 big games. They haven't been as good. it hurts the Leafs more than other teams that their top guys played in that event. Matthews missed a game in that event. He wasn't right to begin with. And so I don't know if they're tired. I don't know if they're hurt. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's contract stuff with Mitch. I don't know what. But the two of them are not good right now, and so they're losing.
I don't even know why then Matthews is out there killing penalties. Get him off.
Totally.
Get him off PK.
Yeah.
Well, why is he out there, period? Like, everybody yelled and screamed about how stupid it would be to consider the LTIR stuff before the deadline. We talked about it all the time. It's not close to what it's been in years past. We all know that. Mm-hmm. There's something's bothering him. We've talked about it at all times, like a million times in this show. They need him to have a cold splash of water in the face or something to wake up, or let him sit down and find, some rest or whatever, some treatment, fly to Germany, whatever it is, to try to get better for the playoffs, because it's not close to what it's been. It doesn't look great. Marner, the same boat. I don't think he was very good last night. And that's what, these Leaf fans in general have these huge blow-ups over regular season games against big teams that resemble what they know happens in April. Mm-hmm. And that's, to me, like, it's a regular season game. Everyone talked about how it was a really big game, but it's still ultimately, it's a game in March. It's not the playoffs. But when it looks exactly,
it's a reminder of
every heartbreaking loss that this team's had, where they've been close and they've come out in the media and they've all been like, yeah, the shots just didn't fall. We had a lot of great chances. We were close. They've been close a hell of a lot, and they haven't been able to push it over the line. And last night is just, it's the guy who always shows up in the big games, shooting two in the net and breaking your back, and the guys who don't getting nothing. So it's a really tough pill to swallow for Leaf fans. And they're emotional today,
and
man.
I know it's simple for you to sit there and go, okay, this is exactly what we see in the playoffs.
It is.
But it's also exactly what we've seen maybe the last 4 weeks, 5 weeks, where they just, even prior to.
But not against that opponent.
Their numbers have been bad for a
No,
while.
but against Vegas,
sure,
against Colorado.
But they find ways to win against other teams, Kipper. They've had lots of wins. They had a good stretch. They were 9-3 over that brutal road trip.
Weaker teams.
For sure. And, you can talk about being on the road in Vegas, one of the hardest places to play, at altitude in Colorado, whatever. But when you come into your building after 2 nights off and you play against a team that you very well could see in the playoffs, and they beat you the way every team always beats you in the playoffs, Leaf fans are beside themselves today.
They are having trouble putting together 60 minutes.
They are. And you know what's worse about this is the next 6 days, they play 4 times. They play tomorrow, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. So if you're talking about rest or being tired, 4 games in 6 nights coming up.
Okay, let's get, you got a little taste of our thought of last night. Let's go to head coach Craig Berube on his overview last night.
Yeah, it was a good battle. I thought 5-on-5 was a pretty even game. I liked our third period a lot. Differences, they scored 2 power play goals, and we didn't capitalize on our PP, but, we got to get that puck, the one there and the second PP goal, their PP goal, we got to get that puck out.
Yeah.
That was
the lot in play.
The lot in play.
The lot was better last night.
Noticeable, at least.
Yeah. Had way more physical, which we talked about.
Got to get that puck out.
Got to get
bear down. Yeah. Got to get that puck
out. We have an overview number 2.
Yeah.
Why don't we follow up with that one?
Well, I knew going in, and we all knew going in, it's tight. It's not, the way they play, there's not a lot of room, and you got to stay patient within your game and not force things. And I thought we did a good job of that. We limited them shots, and they limited us shots. I mean, that's a high volume shot team. So I thought our checking was good, and I thought we did a lot of good things. You always want to be better. Trust me, we got to push through this and get better. But, we competed hard, and it was a hard game. It was a tough, tight hockey game out there. And again, we had power play opportunities, and we didn't capitalize on them, and they did.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
We were just talking about Lawton before that. I hate to say this, but he might be great on the left wing with like Tavares and Nylander. I know.
The need of a third line centerman, and you're pushing him to the wing already.
He played some shifts up there. He's physical. It gets in pucks. If it comes to him, he could put it away. It's like,
And
God,
that's not to suggest you're wrong.
no.
But
I mean, bright spot, Pontus Holmberg,
but
very good lately.
Pontus Forsberg.
He could be
Get him
third
back in
line
the-
C. He's been very good lately.
Florida's harder on pucks than the Leafs are.
Yeah,
definitely.
Is that fair?
I think they're harder on getting to pucks. One of their guys took an interference. Bennett took an interference play or
On
penalty
Benoit.
Benoit, but that one gets called. But they do it 300 other times.
Yeah.
It's so hard to get to the puck.
That first penalty in front of the net too with Oliver Ekman-Larsson, just bad call. One guy, bad call. The scrum, he refused to whistle it down
Right.
when Stolarz had the puck. Of course, guys are going to be out there pushing and shoving and fighting for it. And one guy throws a little bit of a jab, the other guy cross checks back. Take them both off or let it run. Just leave it alone.
Mm-hmm.
And even Benoit's interference call, please don't call that in the playoffs.
I actually agree with
Please,
you. Like it
please.
is interference, but it's like
No, not enough.
Yeah.
Not enough. Guys are fighting for space. God, I just wish all games would be called like Four Nations.
But also, like, to your point, Bennett is a step ahead of Benoit and can choose the lane he wants to skate in. So it's kind of tough to call that one interference. I don't know. The one thing I will say about the OEL thing, he was a bright spot for me last night. Do you guys notice him at all?
Played hard.
Played hard. He's involved physically.
Old
I like his
team,
touches.
Right? Got buddies over there. You want to show them, screw you. You let me go. You didn't want me back.
Yeah. I thought he was a bright spot, but there weren't too many.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Just you nailed it though with that scrum around the net. Like I don't know who the official is, but hey, hero, maybe just blow the whistle.
Yes.
Right.
Like
Come on.
like,
Not sure if you followed the Panthers, but they're
Sam
going to be
Bennett
in there with
came
pitchforks.
jackknifing in from
And
behind.
you don't think emotions will get going with Sam Bennett's allowed to just keep spearing his glove
Fall
into
on your injury-prone goalie.
Stolarz'
Can
glove?
I tell you though? Like, God, he's
Love
such
him.
a gamer.
He was such-
Jeez, like just right. It knows in
And
everything.
he
He was
takes pucks
awesome
to
last
the
night.
net,
He was so good.
and he just refuses to be denied.
He actually changed my mind on him because for a while I thought he was like
Yeah.
a brute who was like, having a high shooting percentage run on a good team. And you watch him handle the puck. He's making good decisions. He's a lot of good things.
Scored one of the 3 goals in the biggest hockey game in 15 years for Canada, where it's like
Yeah.
huge clutch moment after they score a goal. It's like he's going to be so rich. Could there be a better time for him to be a free agent? Honestly.
All right,
Truly
let's go back to another Kippers Clipper with Craig Berube on those penalties we spoke of moments ago.
Bench minor was unfortunate, obviously.
Yeah, that's, we can't take that penalty. Those are the ones that kill you.
OELs, what did you think of them?
Well, we talked about, they're going to do all this stuff, no whistles, and they get in there and get involved, so he punched a guy, but, they two-handed one of our guys too. And they just take us, but we got to be more disciplined, no doubt about it. When you play those guys and, you can't retaliate.
I love
Yeah, I
hockey.
punched him.
I love hockey. Like, what other walk of life? Why?
You can't even punch a guy anymore? That's good.
All right, we should get to Max Domi. We started him off the top of the show. We loved everything that he did. Let's get his head coach's thoughts.
Had a heck of a game, in my opinion. Big hit, fight, scored a goal. I mean, he was skating and working. So I thought he was good.
Yeah, pretty simple. He was that. I mean, that's why he's in over a guy like Robertson is he can change the pace of a game, the course of a game without having to get points.
Yeah. I saw a bit of the Robertson buzz bubbling up. Like, what? Like, if you're watching that game and be like, boy, this game could use Nick Robertson, we're a different type of hockey fan. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I get that he can shoot it in the net once in a while, but I'm watching that game like, you know what would really help these board battles against this mutant team? Nick Robertson.
Yeah.
That's what they need.
Yeah, I saw Max be the Leafs' answer to Sam Bennett last night. I mean, say what you will, but that's the closest version that the Leafs have.
That's scary, right? I mean, no disrespect to Max because he had a great game. He did everything you could ask of him. I don't know, he probably did it all in 12 minutes or something.
It's amazing how quickly watching him play in that game and getting himself into the game with one of the biggest hits. That'll be when they do top 10 hits of the year for the NHL. That'll be in it. Like that's one of the bigger hits you'll see. How immediately into the game he was, and how immediately, as a fan watching that game, I wanted him involved. I wanted the puck
back out there.
I
right
wanted the
after,
puck
too.
on his stick. I wanted him out there. I thought he was so just engaged and ready for the challenge.
Even Verhaeghe's reaction was like, okay, who was that? Like, where did that come from?
Yeah, he was bailing out as it was happening.
Yeah.
He was like, I need to go the other direction here. God, I'm looking at natural stat trick. The Matthews-Marner line had 87% of expected goals. Scoring chances were 8-2, and high danger chances were 7-0 when they were on the ice at 5-on-5.
What?
Didn't see that, eh?
Did you?
I thought Matthews had a couple around the net, but no, I didn't. But I think the point people are making is defensively, they were good.
Sure.
They didn't give up anything the other way. Like, who offensively did you like aside from
He's
Bennett?
got to shoot it in the net.
Yes.
He does. And Marner's, typically when it's those two carrying the offense.
Can we split them up for a game? Like it wasn't there
passes
last
to Matthews. Matthews shoots it in the net.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be on a pace of 70 goals a game season, but it can't be 30 or 35.
Yeah. I thought last night was an obvious night to split them up
Yeah.
and just say they don't have it. They haven't had it. Matthews in a slump. Can we just get a different look for a bit? Didn't do it.
The thing I noticed about Matthews is feels like he needs to get way closer to the net to score. Like he feels like that in his mind. The one where he goes in on the power play where Marner does a little chip pass and he gets that lane to the net. When he's scoring 70 last year, it's one stick handle rip.
Yeah.
And he's trying to get right down on top of the goalie to score. Feels like he doesn't trust it as much as he used to.
The thing that all the great scorers have most often than not is separation space, separation speed, quickness, separation. He's got no separation right now. He does not have that jump to give himself more space. It's gone. There is no separation space for him. He's a lot easier to check today than we've ever seen, really. I don't know how far you want to go back his rookie year, and he still scored 40, but like there's nothing there. There's not that extra juice, that extra step, that separation space for him to go in there and pick his corner. It's like gone.
Well, it's an inch, right? You need like the difference between a guy getting a stick on a tip or not is an inch. And
He's mishandling the puck.
Yeah.
Did he not have the puck late in the game last night? And the thing.
Hopped his stick.
Yeah, I know, but
Yeah.
we never really saw hopping of pucks over his sticks over the years.
Yeah. See, some of this stuff, it can't all be, if you think he's hurt, that's not, a bad change on a too many men call or the puck hopping his stick. But I do think this physical stuff is real. I do think he's not getting separation. And
he picks his spots when to be engaged and when not to be engaged. I'm still thinking he's either hurt or psychologically he doesn't want to get hurt.
yeah,
One of the two.
that certainly can
But
be part
I'm
of it.
seeing at times this guy push snow.
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
looks tired
Yeah.
compared to usual for whatever reason. But
Yeah.
it is certainly a problem. They can't win without him being a better version of himself. So, to Sam, your point, like, would you want to rest him 4 games in 6 nights? Do you want to just let him take a knee here to find the best version? But I remember having these conversations 2 years ago when he scored 40 after scoring 60. I remember these very well. It's like he's not quite right. It's the absence of greatness. I don't know
Not
what it
like
is.
this.
Was he
Just like this.
hurt?
Yeah.
in that
well,
preseason?
people had thought that it was a
Wasn't
wrist.
didn't he come off the wrist surgery?
We never did find out what.
We never find out anything.
Yeah.
Listen, you may be right, and I'm overthinking this, but I don't remember stretches like this for him.
Yeah, goals per game are pretty similar pace, but maybe not like this. This is as bad as it ever has been in his career.
One 5-on-5 goal in 16 games is
Unheard
Hey,
of.
not.
on the 5-on-5 king.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I said it yesterday. I'll say it again. One of the reasons they're struggling so mightily to score at 5-on-5 is because the best 5-on-5 goal scorer on the planet isn't really there right now. So, anyways, Tanev.
Tanev, certainly it does feel differently when he's back. It seems like everybody's slotted a little better, but I think there's so much cleaning up to do back there that even Tanev coming back isn't enough unless these guys start playing better.
I thought the other guy who had a really good game was Brandon Carlo. Brandon Carlo, there are signs that it can work with Riley. Like last night, they controlled a lot of the play, didn't get beat. He wasn't on for any against. Like, I thought a good sign that he could hang in a game like that. Morgan, I know you didn't like as much.
Yeah, Morgan, to me, I hate it when he doesn't move his feet and then he starts looking for these stretch passes and just not a good look for me.
His first instinct, when he was playing good, it was before Four Nations, and he was just like,
that Western road trip.
Go.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw his first shift.
The ice. 2
pizzas up the middle. One came right back from the neutral zone. Another one was almost a suicide pass to Matthews, who got buried at the top of the blue line. He came right back into the end zone. If he's skating and moving his feet and gives the opposition a thought of, hey, I could give and go here, I could make a pass, or I can skate it out, it's a different world for him. But his whole key for me is when he's skating and moving his feet, different player.
How do you rest these guys between now and playoffs? How do you get them?
Well, I think you're going to keep playing and you're going to keep trying to win the division, clearly. But last night hurt for that pursuit, boys. Like, there's no way around it. What are they? How they
4 points back,
4
game
points
in
clear.
hand.
Yeah, like, it's just you can still. It's not insurmountable, clearly.
No, but they gotta turn it around. They gotta go on a little bit of a heater here. They need 4 or 5 in a row here. They need a good, strong finish to the regular season, which has to include consecutive wins here.
Yeah. I actually thought the 2 games of this slump where they played pretty well were Colorado and Florida. They lose both games to better teams, presumably. If those are, tomato cans, they probably have a couple of wins, but they need a run of those games against beatable teams.
And we're going to go here soon as we get to the Leafs line, but Leafs have the Ottawa Senators tomorrow night, and I don't know if you've been keeping up with the papers, boys, but they're first since March 1st, first in wins, best record, second in goals per game, second best goal differential, first in even strength goals, coming in here, something to prove. Hockey night in Canada. What are they, 4 or 5 points back of the Leafs?
6, yeah.
And their game last night isn't good enough to beat Ottawa tomorrow night.
I'm terrified.
Ottawa's rolling.
I'm terrified of that game tomorrow night. Terrified.
Yeah, it's a scary one.
It really is.
Should be fun.
Yeah, great.
All right,
I just
Sammy.
love watching this team right now.
That's why we do this.
All right, let's go to break.
We'll take a quick break here. When we return, it's the Leaf line. We sit back, we relax. It's the end of the week, and you all do the rest of the work. Back after these words. Welcome back to our Leaf Hour edition of our program, where you get your say. You've heard from us either overemphasizing or under the Leafs loss last night. Take your pick. Me or Justin or Sammy.
I think it's so hard to talk about this team. I really find that.
Hey,
I do.
Why do you think we have a whole hour?
It tires me out, man.
5 days a week.
It's a blessing and a curse that people care about it and we get to do this as a living. But after, it's just like, somebody asked me about the Leafs on the street. I'm like, I don't care.
Leave me alone.
Good God. You want to talk about tariffs? Leave me alone.
Jacob Marley carrying chains of the Leafs around.
Anything else?
Tariffs.
God. Guys talk about Trump.
Please discuss politics.
God. Anyone want to talk about Trump? Yeah.
Easier.
Yeah.
Much easier.
Gonna be okay.
Let's go to Johnny from Ottawa.
Deep behind enemy lines. I'm here to tell you, boys, that the cavalry is on its way. The Sens are coming to town, and they're just about ready. I mean, the Leafs are just ripe for an absolute St. Patrick's bloodbath. Those stupid uniforms are not going to save them. It might distract us for a second and look away. But the Sens are coming. Leafs are in trouble. What is it with this team that just can't compete when it gets hard? What is it? What is it with these guys? I swear to God, we're sleepwalking into another playoff disaster with the same cast of characters, the same amount of excuses. It is honestly so bad. So bad.
Tell me that, like, that,
Honestly, we should go off air because he's just like, God, he's so right.
like, Johnny, brother, I love you.
I can just sum it up this way for Johnny. You just got to want it bad enough. And I'm not sure at times over the last few years if a lot of these players have hit that point.
Is this the love to win versus hate to lose conversation?
Definitely.
This is, I'd rather than lose.
Yeah.
And stupid saying it when you're 58, but when you're 25 or 27 or 30, it's like, got to be close to death.
Yeah.
I'd rather die. I'd rather be carried out in a body bag than lose.
You know what? So potentially, if you have so many of these generational talents, these superstars, success on the way up and cast of people around them, and all you do is have success and first overall and, you know, are very high, and you just, everything's come easy. And all of a sudden, it's not easy. You know, it's taken some years to see if any of them will go, okay, it's different here.
I think the team that we're going to see tomorrow night went through a lot of top picks, a lot of success early with points, a lot of success with 8-year deals, making $8 million. And then there's a new ownership group. There's a new management team that says, too easy, too soft. We got to break this up. And that to me is the number one reason why you got rid of Josh Norris. I know he's had some injuries.
You see he's hurt?
I know.
Okay.
I know he's had some injuries.
He's hurt again.
Got hurt.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
hurt.
In Buffalo?
Yes.
Okay, whatever the case is.
Yeah, I'm just saying,
Okay.
You're right, is my...
Whatever the case is, it's because of that comfort that it's just, you don't hate losing enough. You don't, it
You've
doesn't
been handed
bother
the contracts,
you
handed
enough.
the captaincy, handed the success.
We got to break some of that up. That's why a guy like Dylan Cousins comes in, because he
He needs
just
that too, though. He went through it in
changes.
Buffalo, where they gave it, here's Samuelson's money, here's Power's money, here's Cousins' money.
very
for
fair,
nothing.
very fair comment for sure. And something needs to change, right? Something needs to change. And that's where I think people the last few years have been saying, Marner, Tavares, Nylander, Matthews, like, change it. Change it. And no, get another crack.
We all agree if it happens in the first round again, we come in here, it's just like, it
I'm
can't.
not convinced.
You're not.
No. Why would I be convinced?
That they would change it?
Yeah.
Of course they'll change it.
Yeah, we would have said that 4 years in a row, boys.
No, Marner will change it.
Yeah, well, that's a good point.
Right.
All right. Speaking of
He's
Marner,
not staying
Speaking
if
of-
they lose in the first round.
let's go to Gail from Parts Unknown.
Hi, Sammy. It's Gail here. You are on my bad list now. Yes, the fans in Toronto are passionate, but they don't control what the players can do. Marner is the engine that drives this team, not Matthews. He has the right to be respected for his choices. He's equal to or better than Matthews. No one has a problem with Matthews' salary or lazy Nylander's salary, but Marner is supposed to be the whipping boy, and yet he wants to be here more than anyone, perhaps except Tavares. Kyper, thank you for giving Sammy a smack across the side of his head. Sammy, next time your boss calls you in to give you a raise, tell him no thanks. That's it for me.
Wow. Gail.
Gail Marner, thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate it, Grandma. What's his grandma's name? Gail?
I have no idea.
Next caller. Let's go to Ian and Jellybee.
I was hoping to connect with Chuck Nelson and his buddy Pancake Pete. I want them to know that I'm going to be with my friend Jim from Waterloo outside the bank tomorrow prior to the game. Yeah, we're going to be selling customizable paper bags along with Tums, which stands for Sauceable Used Maple Leaf Sweaters. We are looking for donations, and all proceeds will be going to the Bring Back Wendell and Dougie Relief Fund. All prices are going to be in Canadian dollars with tariffs and taxes applicable only to sweaters with American players on the back.
Uh-oh.
In all seriousness, tomorrow night's going to be the biggest statement game of the year. I feel the Sens are going to make a bold statement. I think the Leafs are just going to give us the same old excuses. Your thoughts, gentlemen? Great show. Cheers.
This is how far, like how badly beaten down Leaf fans are. Is that they're scared of the Sens. I'm scared of the Sens. It's like they've been a punching bag for 8 years where everyone's made fun of them. They said they've been great. And now it's like, yeah, they're going to rinse the Leafs tomorrow.
There's nothing like being a 100-point pace team fighting for first in your division and having people talk paper bags. That's wild.
Love it. Welcome to Toronto, baby.
He's not wrong when it's like you're going off of one statement game right into another one here. So maybe that's what the players need is us against the world mentality right now. But
yeah,
they need 60 minutes tomorrow night.
They need a salute gate. Oof. Hey, how's the nice lady from Armstrong?
Not yet.
No?
Not yet.
Not time?
Not yet. Shouldn't have put that on there because I don't want you to control the narrative. Let's go to another uplifting call. Sam from San Francisco.
Born into the Leafs diehard realm. I'm struggling this morning. Woke up, feels like it's mid-April, early May, and we just lost another close playoff game where the penalty kill sucked, power play sucked, everything came from the perimeter. I don't know the last time I felt this deflated and disencouraged after a regular season game. So, Kipper, I know optimism isn't your strong suit here, but is there anything to take from last night's game and make my day go by a little bit better? Other than Max Domi, who I thought looked awesome, I don't really got much.
Okay, well, Sam, clone of our Sam.
Sammy from San Francisco.
But it's like you were like separated at birth.
I'm telling you, man.
That was you.
There was more of this. Like, this is how people, like, what I told you, the relationship between this team and the fan, because of what you said, they've been together for so long that every loss like this in the regular season is like a smack in the face to them to remind.
I believe they call that PTSD.
Bingo! Nailed it.
It's like,
okay. I'll take a page out of my good friend here, Justin Bourne, and say that they are still in hockey games, right? They're still within a shot on goal of getting a point or two or winning a darn game. It was a late post as well last night, I think, a Marner. And their goaltending still is good enough where they hang around. They're in it. They're there. So
goaltending.
There. The goaltending still for me.
Which hasn't been as good.
It hasn't been as good, but it was because it was so friggin' great.
Yeah.
And it hasn't fallen off a cliff here. They're still really good. So they're in hockey games.
Okay. Let's go to Kevin from Pickering.
Listen, I need to clarify something. Just because I phoned in a few weeks ago and said the Leafs were cursed, doesn't mean I don't already have my spot picked out for the parade. I've been taking a lot of slack for that one. So anyways, here's my question. Maple Leafs, 7th game of the Stanley Cup Finals in Toronto. Where are you watching it? Are you at home with family, friends? You in a bar? You downtown? Where are you watching that epic game? Anyways, cheers, guys. Have a great weekend.
I think what comes to mind first for me is in this scenario, Sam, you would have to not work Leaf Talk. You can't do Leaf Talk after that. Either way.
I would argue that would be the reason you start doing Leafs Talk is to do that show.
Well, that's why Sportsnet would pay you to do it.
Yes.
I
would love to do it. So let's say I'm not me and I answering that question.
Okay.
dark room alone. No.
What about if they're up
no-
after 2? Do you go out into the public?
No other light other than the TV light. Blanket overhead. That's it.
You know, that is a really good question because I don't know. I don't know. I've never thought about it before. I couldn't be in the alumni room. I couldn't be with a large amount of people. There's just no way I could watch it
We might have to be
and
together
be
for that.
that distracted
Yeah.
by. I couldn't.
You think people are going to be talking to you about the stock market, Game 7 of the Stanley Cup final in the
No,
alumni
but
box? I
it's
think they're going
just-
to be watching, buddy.
Trust me, there's still chatty people.
You
Okay.
also just don't want
it's nerves.
donkey opinions in your ear from people
Yes.
like,
What's
"This
wrong
guy,"
with him?
yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
and last night it was a big game. I just needed my coach. I needed the TV. I needed
Definitely my
the
preference.
remote, and I needed like Nick time.
I got to tell you, if someone offered me tickets, that game wouldn't go.
What are you talking about?
But there's the
Would
side
not
of
go.
you that says
You'd have
like,
to be in the building.
you have to
No
kind of you've waited your whole life for it. You gotta be somewhere in the building.
I also got to say,
Disagree. Like,
let's assume that this, if this were to happen, let's assume Sportsnet would have us involved in some way.
I think this is all under the we're not us.
No. This we're 80 now, right?
What do you mean?
Oh, in the year that they're in the final.
How old are we now?
Yeah.
That's my
We're
great.
assuming it's this year?
Yeah.
Or are we assuming this is before we die at some point?
That's a good point.
This is my great fear that they show all those Cubs when the Cubs won, and there's that old guy in the recliner. It's like they did it. I'm like, don't let that be me.
That's not a fear.
I don't want to be that. I don't want that. I want to be able to be walk around and enjoy it, but I would watch it in my basement and then go out into the streets.
But as being a part of a Stanley Cup and watching the fans' reaction from a game they thought we were going to close out in Game 5 to Game 7, that less people wanted to go to the 7
Then the 5.
Yeah. Because of
Seven's a nightmare.
the disappointment
Don't wanna be there
of
for the
losing, right?
Yeah, there'd be tears streaming down my face the second the Leafs got. If they went down 1-0, I'd be bawling. I couldn't do it.
At least you're stable.
Let's go. Yeah, let's go. I'm not here because I'm stable.
Good question, though.
Let's go
Makes
to-
me think.
Let's go to Nice Lady from Armstrong.
Shout out Armstrong, by the
Hey,
way.
Sammy, I don't need to be on your Leaf line, but I'm calling from Armstrong, BC, and you need to change that jersey at the National Hour and get other jerseys up there because in the National Hour, it is not Maple Leaf jersey time. Thank you. Love you guys. Bye.
Can she produce for me?
I know.
And Justin, please? Can she come
submit
in?
a resume and we'll shout out to the Woodells from Armstrong. Armstrong's hour and a half from
Yeah.
Kelowna, and I once drove there and forgot one
Well,
skate.
we
Yeah, we don't have time for anymore.
Yeah, we went all shallow and called out Ryan Smith to send us jerseys of Utah, and he did, and we will debut them in our National Hour. And a hat too.
We're actually debuting.
Hey, that's a good looking hat, by the
Not
way.
bad, eh?
We're actually starting on Monday, boys.
And you look good in it.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, you
the dad
do.
hat works.
Just a quick note for our listeners. On Monday, we're going to be debuting our new segment called Hockey Club Hour, and it's our first hour. And we'll be talking about the hockey club and no Leafs talk anymore.
All
it's
the
over.
Clayton Keller talk you can handle.
God, I love that Kesserling.
God, look at you guys
You like,
shilling
McBain,
for
though.
Utah.
You like
You're
McBain.
pathetic, you two.
Buddy, we told you. Absolutely for sale.
Never been more for sale.
That makes it 3. All right. Our thanks to all of our callers on our Leaf line. Always great to hear the passion and the love, even in the tough times. Hey, Sammy?
When are they good?
They are. They'll get good again. All right. Stick around. More of Off the Rails Friday when we bring in You Know Who. Closing out the week with our National Hour on the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. We are live on Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver, Sportsnet 960 in Calgary. This hour of Real Kyper and Bourne brought to you by Bet365. Doug MacLean will join us soon. And then a little later on, if you want to text us at 590-590, we'll read whatever you want to ask us because
That's right.
by
Text
then
us.
we will be completely out in left field
Yeah.
by then.
Please create
Right?
the content.
I actually have a couple surprise. I have a surprise caller or two that were non-Leaf related things too.
Oh, really?
So we can play those too.
Oh,
There
that's
you go.
fun.
Yeah.
In the meantime, we're going to take the next hour and go into great depth of the game tonight between the Utah Hockey Club and Seattle.
It's a great jersey matchup between two of the more formidable teams in the West.
So, for those of you that are unfamiliar on how shallow we are,
Who is it this
we've
point?
had a couple general managers and an owner on our show recently who were kind enough to send us jerseys after we begged for one.
Yeah.
But what, like 4 or 5 months ago, we put on an Edmonton Oilers jersey up there.
Oh my God.
The little one?
The little one,
The baby one.
the baby one, which was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, we have no budget.
We have
Right?
no
We
jersey
are
collection at all.
Poor, like really poor.
Yeah.
We have no budget. Let's beg for jerseys.
This is our new thing.
And Ryan Smith was on our show last week.
Mhm.
Not even last week. Like
Monday.
9 minutes ago.
Monday.
but did he like charter a plane and fly these jerseys over to us?
Probably.
And look at you two with the hats.
What do you mean?
Like we're a Canadian show. We're national.
Yeah.
And you're going Utah on me.
I just, really impressed.
You know what they
with
say?
the
They
play
say
of
Utah,
McBain.
Canada of the U.S.
Everyone's been saying that.
Okay.
More and more people are saying
Now, those jerseys are fantastic.
they're really cool.
Oh, you can kind of see it. They say Real Kipper and Bourne on them.
Yeah,
And the
they're really
inaugural
cool.
year, kind of cool to have.
They are.
So we will, when Utah's in the mix, we'll be sure to post that, put them up there, and shout out to Ryan Smith. That was really cool. And to Utah, the press
Carolyn.
team there, they did a great job.
And we do expect,
We just want our Canadian teams to come through.
they will. They will. They're just warming up to us. First of all, we got
Just talk.
we got to get them. First of all, liking us again,
Mhm.
because we have a tendency to tell them what to do with their
And
team.
your plan is to get Doug MacLean on for that?
We have less of a chance to get a Canadian jersey again
Yeah.
because Doug's coming on in a few
Yeah.
minutes.
I wrote some nice things about the Flames today. Both the Flames and Canucks in a race with the Utah Hockey Club here.
Only 2 points back.
And only 2 points back. I really like the Flames. I don't like that Backlund is week to week right now, and Zary is suspended. That's they're not that deep that they can sustain too many blows, so that kind of stinks. But I do like Calgary's odds. So even though I got the Utah hat on, rooting for the Flames.
Flames in Colorado tonight. That's pretty big test right now.
That is a large test. Yeah, and Utah, one of the things I noted, I've got an article up on Sportsnet today about the West race. Utah has a soft next 5 games. They play, I think, Nashville twice. 4 of them are non-playoff teams. So, yeah, they're going to have to do a little winning to stay ahead. This thing's going to get really tight because St. Louis has a very soft schedule, too.
In the
You know what my
meantime,
hope is?
what's that?
Minnesota could fall apart. Minnesota, if they were to go 6-10 down the stretch, would finish with 91 points. So they're not out of the woods. They just got to be okay, but 6-8-1.
We know we're going to get Doug MacLean's thoughts on the Edmonton Oilers, but 3-7, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Like, when do you go, this is, not good?
I know there's some underlying numbers, too, that they've been not very good for a while. So let's get someone else's opinion.
Okay. This is the part where I introduce Doug MacLean and then just not talk for the next 20 minutes. How are you?
Super. How are you guys?
We're good. I'm not sensing.
Cheap is not the word. There's a better word than cheap for you guys.
I'm afraid. Can you say it on air?
I said poor.
No,
We're
no.
poor.
But anyway, I got to get something off my chest
Oh,
right
no.
away.
Oh, no.
I'm watching a game the other night, and I couldn't get Don Cherry out of my mind during the game. I'm watching the Vancouver Canucks play, and there's one Canadian in their lineup. One.
Is that right?
Who?
One Canadian
I don't
in
know.
their lineup.
I
Can you believe that? thank God, poor Don, if he was still in the studio, it'd be, so I have to take over for Don, I guess. But I mean, and the team they're playing, I believe it was Calgary, they had 9.
Who, and then
I
who,
have to say
who's the
anymore.
Canadian?
Look, I understand. Look, we talk about how many Stanley Cup winners we have in our lineup. We saw the 4 Nations where we had so many Stanley Cup winners in our lineup. The Americans didn't have quite as many, but one Canadian in the lineup for the Vancouver Canucks. Like, I'm sorry. What am I missing here?
Would you actively seek to change that if you were in charge?
Let's not talk hypothetics. You know, I'm not in charge. I'm on the real Kyper show. I'm a regular here. You know, I'm a regular here.
All right.
But anyway, I had to get that off my chest. I'm sorry.
So,
and I'm not a Trump. By the way, I'm not a Trumper. And Trump might try to buy the Canucks if he knew there was only one Canadian.
I'm looking for who it is. Who's the Canadian? DeBrusque?
Yes. Our mate was DeBrusque born in Canada or the U.S.?
Oh, my gosh. You come out with this major statement, and now you're questioning.
He's listed as Canadian.
Yeah, okay.
Well, but he also played hockey in the States.
I was born in the U.S.
He's the one.
All right.
Okay.
So clearly, it's what? A pride thing for you? It's what? That
it's Canadian. It's elbows up for me. It's elbows up.
All right.
For me.
That seems to be the statement these days. Yeah. Elbows up.
Yeah. And by the way, I just finished 45 minutes best breaststroke, and then I had a sauna, and then I come up from the pool area, just, you know, and every time I go to the pool, or every time I go anywhere in Delray, it's how is everybody up in Canada? How are they doing up there? You know? And I said, they're doing great. They just hate Trump.
Just angry.
So, and I've been to Mar-a-Lago, by the way.
Have you really?
Oh. Yes, I have. I have been. And we had a board of governors meeting in Palm Springs at the Breakers, and Jerry Jacobs hosted the board of governors at Mar-a-Lago. So we had a meal there and a nice evening at Mar-a-Lago. Donald wasn't there.
Okay.
Donald was not there. Make sure that comes out loud and clear. I don't want to be in Bruce Arthur's column. Okay.
All right.
He wasn't there.
Okay. Can we get back to hockey?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yes. I'm just showing my Canadian pride.
I think Doug should do politics.
Hey, listen, they asked me to run for the premier PEI a number of years ago, and I turned them down. But listen, I got to tell Sammy, when I was 12 years of age, I watched I watched the Leafs win the Stanley Cup in my den at my house in Summerside. Okay. I watched them win the Stanley Cup. You guys are wondering where you're going to go to watch it. I watched it in my living room with my dad. Then I go to my dad. I'm a busboy at my dad's restaurant called the Tartan Restaurant, Summerside. And Punch Imlach is having dinner in my dad's restaurant. And my dad introduces me to him. Big deal. I was the biggest Leaf fan in the world, okay? And Punch Imlach sends me a week later, it came, or a couple of weeks later, an autographed Northland Pro hockey stick with the entire 67 Leafs autographs on it.
And when you were 13, you sold it.
No, when I was 14, I played street hockey with it and ruined it. How dumb was I?
Devastating. So were you offended by the Punch Imlach representation in the Harold Ballard documentary?
I didn't see it. I mean, Punch and King Clancy were my idols. I mean, obviously, I'm at a golf tournament this summer with Dave Keon and Frank Mahovlich. Can you believe that? They were at the Summerside Boys and Girls Club tournament this summer. Frank Mahovlich and Dave Keon and John Shannon. Those are the three main celebrities.
Okay, can I ask you a hockey question before we finish?
Sure.
Okay. It's been a week since the NHL trade deadline's over. We've seen some guys hit it out of the park early, like a Dylan Cousins, and we've seen others who have struggled a little bit. As a general manager or president, when you are involved in trading, Is there such a thing as buyer's remorse? And if it is, like, how early can it hit you?
It can hit you really quickly, but you always hope that they're going to find their way. You hope they find their way. But I'll tell you what, I come out of the trade deadline this year with 8 teams that have a chance to win the Stanley Cup. George McPhee told me 11. I've got it 8. And they're teams that I thought did a great job at the trade deadline. Okay? Panthers, Dallas, Colorado, Winnipeg, Toronto, Tampa Bay, Vegas. Those are my 8 teams that have a chance to win the Stanley Cup. And every one of them, for the most part, improved their team at the deadline.
Well, you wouldn't have known that if you listened to our first hour on our Leaf edition of our show.
I was breaststroking. I couldn't. But I have my ear pods on, but I can't listen to radio.
You're not as discouraged as some based on a loss last night to the Florida Panthers for the Leafs?
No, you know what? I think they've improved their team, and to me, it's their defense is better. Obviously, Carlo. Here's Lawton and Carlo for me. I have them rated as 4.5s. I have an NHL regular is a 5 in a 7, as I tell you, is a franchise player. A 6 is an impact player. A 5 is a good NHL regular, and a 4.5 is an average NHLer. And I've got them as both of them 4.5s. But I think they complement the guys that are there. I really do. So I think they've improved their team. I think Tree Living has done a good job with the bottom 6. Finally, we've been talking about this for a long time, about their bottom 6. Every playoff, we talk about it. Third lines are important at the playoff time. So I think they've done a good job there. And the question I have, 2 questions on the Leafs. Are the big 4 going to get it done finally? Because they're still the number 1 catalyst for this team. And is their goaltending as good as we think it's been for the most part this year? Are Stollers and the kid Wall, are they good enough to be better than or equal to Vasilevsky, Bobrovsky, all the teams that have real good, even Ottinger? I mean, I know they play them later on, but I think they're right there. I do think they're there. And if they play Ottawa in the first round, I would love that. I would absolutely love that.
So are you surprised Ottawa is there?
I'm pleased Ottawa is there. I agree with Nick on the trade. I think it was a chemistry trade more than anything. I think they like Cousins, but they like Norris too. But they wanted to change the chemistry. They wanted to change the room, and they did. And I think it was a good move by Stales. I really do. And I think if Ullmark, like I watched Ullmark last night, stand on his head, make big saves at key times of the game, Ullmark's got to be the guy. And if he does what he's paid to do, and I mean, he's got the big ticket. He's got to come through for them. And he did last night. He has recently at 48 saves the other night I watched. I think Ottawa's, if they make it, and it looks like they're going to get in, they're going to be a tough out.
Edmonton Oilers have struggled. A lot of people talking, including us earlier in the show, about coming off of 4 Nations and maybe Connor's feeling a little bit. Austin Matthews may be feeling it a little bit. Where are you on the Edmonton Oilers and their 3-7 record the last 10?
They've lost 8 of their last 11. And it's back to the same old. I tried to read Spector's article, Mark Spector's article, but it was so depressing. I had to put it down halfway through it. I mean, he's going to have therapy if they don't win some games soon. But look, they're back to the same old. McDavid, Draisaitl, put them together, play them every second shift, play their 4th line 3 minutes. I mean, not great goaltending, giveaway blue line. I mean, passengers. I mean, they've got, what have they got? Remorse from losing in the finals or what? Is that what they're going through there? But it doesn't look good.
They're just, their team on paper or on the ice apparently isn't as good as they were last spring.
I mean, Arvidsson and Skinner are your off-season acquisitions. Like, are you kidding me? I mean, like, I'm sorry. And now, I mean, Stan Bowman's brought in. They let Kenny Holland go. Don't tell me Kenny retired. I don't want to hear that BS. They let him go. And Stan Bowman is in there. And tell me about their trade deadline. Tell me about it. Was there anything to tell?
Wallman and
Yeah,
Max
I like
Jones.
Wallman.
Yeah.
I like
Wallman's
Wallman.
really going to help them.
Yeah, I like Wallman too. But
Not enough.
they're trying to win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
They're not trying to make the playoffs. They're trying to win the Stanley Cup. And Colorado changed their team. I mean, the other teams, Dallas, they made major changes.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you this, I'm going to say this right now. I love the Oilers. I'd love to see the Oilers do well. I'd love to see them win the Stanley Cup. But I'm telling you this right now. LA Kings will beat them in the first round.
Oof. Whoa. That Kings team looked good last night.
I tell you, LA, I watched them last night. If LA play like that, they're beating the Oilers in the first round. And you saw it. I'm glad you watch games like I do, because you guys are the experts, not me, you know?
Okay. Well, hopefully Trent Frederick is a help to the Edmonton Oilers when he does come back.
Oh, I forgot about him. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
I like that acquisition. I did.
So who do you like for the last spot in the Western Conference?
Who is it between Calgary and Vancouver?
Well, unless our jerseys get going back here.
You guys are pushing Utah. You're pushing Utah. I know. I saw that. Oh, my God.
St. Louis kicking around, too.
St. Louis are a point or so out. I mean, I love what Calgary's done. I really do. I think got to give the GM some credit there. He's hung tough. He's following a plan to rebuild the team. And
he sent us a jersey.
And I'll tell you what, they've got a very good coach there, a very good coach in Calgary. So
that division, the very top, the Winnipeg Jets are likely, they might win the President's Trophy this year. Dallas makes the big ads behind them. What did you think of the whole week of Mikko Rantanen? This, what happened in Carolina and who he said, she said sort of stuff.
Yeah, it was interesting to watch. I was shocked when he got traded from Colorado. I was shocked by that move. And, and Carolina shocked me that they took him. Then I'm thinking, okay, Carolina are serious about winning the Stanley Cup. If they could just get a goalie, they'd have a chance. Okay. So I think, okay, they're making this happen. And then the BS that followed, not being signed, knew pretty quick he didn't want to be there, didn't piss a drop in the games when he was there. I mean,
that's one way of putting it.
Yeah, it was bad. It was not good. And Dallas come in, Jimmy Neal, full marks. He makes a great pickup. Dallas are poised to have a chance to win the Stanley Cup. And the trade, I think the trade they've got big time centerman. He's going to love it there. I think it's a great move. And Winnipeg makes a couple minor moves. They pick up Tanev and they pick up Shen. That's exactly what they needed, a little more depth in positions and guys that are character guys that will go through the wall. I like those. I know they weren't the big high price like Tampa Bay and so on, but I thought Chevy came through and made a couple of good, solid acquisitions. So we'll see.
Where do you want to go?
Well, I was going to ask more about this Winnipeg and goaltending thing. Do you have any fears about Hellebuck at all, or do you feel really good? This guy's going to win the Vezina Trophy. It's probably silly to worry about him, but just Colorado last year makes some people feel...
Pionk's out week to week as well.
And that's a big loss. Pionk is a big loss for them, to say the least. And you know what? They're a good team. I like a lot of things about them. I like their balance. I mean, Connor, how do you not love this guy, the way he plays and the big goals he scores? Shifley's rebounded. There's been they changed their chemistry. They changed their room. We talk about that with Ottawa. That's what they did. And, Hellebuck has he's got to take a step at playoff time. And I watched the Four Nations, not that it was his fault. He was good, but he's got to win in the playoffs. Is that fair? That's a lot of pressure, but at this stage in his career, he's done everything else except be able to win in the playoffs. Like I would have bet dollars to donuts they would have beaten Colorado last year. With Colorado's goaltending and Winnipeg's goaltending, it should have been a difference maker in that series. And they weren't even close.
No.
They weren't even close.
You're watching and listening to Doug MacLean author extraordinaire.
Just a minute. Have I mentioned my book? I just want to show you something. In the top, right across the top, this is the new paperback. It's got national bestseller written right across the top there. I didn't know if you guys were aware of that. But anyway, I tell you what, they are selling like I'm shocked.
Hotcakes.
I'm shocked. I really am.
We are too.
I got a royalty check this week. Kyper, if you knew it, you'd be sick to your stomach.
Enough to get back to Mar-a-Lago, maybe.
Hey, new tires for the Porsche.
Yeah.
Mac, we saw the Boston Bruins actually come up with a really big win earlier this week against Florida, watching some big names leave their lineup. New Jersey now has lost some big names as well through injuries, but found a way to beat the Oilers. And can teams still get some juice off of us versus the world, or is it just, it's just hopeful thinking for a team like New Jersey without Hughes and Hamilton here the rest of the year?
Yeah, really tough. And I think you get the juice for a little while, and I just don't know. I'd love to see. I mean, I think Jersey will make the playoffs. I really don't. I hope they do, because I love Tommy Fitzgerald as a former player of mine. I think the world of him, and I'd like to see them make it. I was devastated to see Hughes go out. I really was. So I think you can get a little juice, but I just don't see them being able to do any damage at playoff time. I still think there's enough to get in to the playoffs, but Boston, what's Boston have? 2 points out of the playoffs right now, today. They're hanging in there. They played a couple of really good games. For them to go in and beat Tampa and Florida, I mean, unbelievable. I would never have dreamt that. Yeah. There's not a snowball's chance. But I go off Sammy's betting line there, and I never would have considered that in those games, So
the interesting news of the week, I thought, was Aaron Ekblad getting hung up on performance-enhancing drugs. Did you ever have to deal with that when you were coaching, managing? Was it ever in or around your locker rooms at all?
I'll never forget the day Brian Berard walked in my dressing room and said that he just tested positive, And of course I said, for what? So anyway,
could have been,
it was the same thing for Brian. It was the same thing. You're trying to, help. You're trying to help, and you get caught. And I don't know how long he was suspended for, but
Hold
Brian
on for a second. A player had to tell you don't get it firsthand knowledge.
I don't know if it's obviously probably different now, but he walked into my room and told me that he had tested positive. Yeah. Yeah. I was the GM at the time.
Wow.
So, yeah. And, I've had numerous guys in the NHL program over the years, and I found them to be outstanding to deal with. Outstanding to deal with. I had them in there from a variety of reasons. We don't have to get into it. Anger management. I tried, when one of my players come back from anger management, I tried to get in his head, see if it could help myself, but it didn't
really
work.
Someone went for anger management in the NHL?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, it's just watching management on a day-to-day basis would do that, wouldn't it?
That would be enough. Yeah.
Hey,
and I traded him. I traded him when he was there, and I remember phoning the league and said, what do I have to say?
Security with you
to the team that I'm trading him to, and the league told me, you just have to say that he has some issues. Okay. So I'm dealing with a GM who had some alcohol related issues. The GM I was dealing with, and I said to him, I have to tell you, he's got some issues. And the GM said to me, we've all got issues. So then I give him the guy's phone number to phone. And he said, isn't that a California number? It was the rehab center to contact him. So don't tell me it hasn't changed.
Oh, that's crazy.
Don't tell me I didn't have some headaches. Oh my God.
That's nuts. Hey, earlier this week we had our best guest on of the week, PJ Stock. And
is he still doing radio and TV?
He is. Talking the Montreal Canadiens. That's another team, I'm sure.
That's great because I
Right.
don't want to talk about them.
No, why? Because they cut you when you were playing?
Yes, they traded me to Drummondville when I was with the Montreal Junior Canadiens.
Another team hanging in there and playing meaningful games, that's got to be.
They're another Calgary. I think they're doing. I think they've been smart in their approach. It's funny. I was thinking of them this morning because I was thinking of Kirby Dach and Cousins, that was a major conversation amongst the scouts in that draft year. Who are we going to take, Kirby Dach or Cousins? Who is going to be the better NHLer? That's still an interesting thing to watch. But I like what Montreal have done. I think they've done a good job, and I think they're being patient. And you're right. They're playing meaningful games, and they're playing pretty good hockey.
Doug, do you find there's a player type that takes longer to develop? Like I'm thinking watching Slavkovsky at 6'4", 235 and 19, 20 years old. Quinton Byfield, similar dimensions. He's coming along pretty nicely. Sometimes these long, rangy D-men, I find that, Zadorov or Chara take more time. Is it different based on body type sometimes?
I've had it all over the place. I had a guy, we traded, this is the worst trade. Brian Murray, who I idolize and think the world of, but we traded Stu Barnes and Jason Woolley for Chris Wells. Do you remember that name, Chris Wells?
Defenseman, big guy.
Yeah, Brian and Chuck Fletcher didn't think we were big enough down the middle. We went to the Stanley Cup Finals the year before, but they thought we weren't big enough down the middle. So we traded Stu Barnes, who is a heart and soul, tough as nails, and a kid that had a great career. And we traded him for Chris Wells. So the Western Scout I said, who did we get? Chris Wells? Are you kidding? So I never heard of him. First round pick of Pittsburgh. I get a call from our Western Scout. Doug, don't worry about this guy. Don't worry about this guy. He's going to be your next captain. He'll be your next captain. So I meet him 2 months later when we're out playing in the Western Canada. I meet the scout and I said, obviously you think I'm going to be coaching in the East Coast League next year because that's where he'll be. And maybe he'll be the captain in the East Coast League. So does that answer your question? Do some big guys not develop fast enough? It's all over the map. You just can't count on anything. But anyway, I lost. And I remember going home and saying to Clark, who was 9, my son at the time, and I said, we traded Stu Barnes. You know what he said to me? He was 9. He said, are you and Brian nuts? He knew, and we didn't know. And he was 9.
God, he was a very smart kid back then. Very smart. One more, and I'll let you get back into the pool for your backstrokes. So,
breaststroke.
Yeah. We're clearly heading towards a first round somewhere where we're going to see top 8 seeds eliminate each other. Colorado, Dallas, possibly Leafs, Tampa Bay. And
I hate it.
We got 32 teams. This can't be a good thing.
I hate it. We see it every year. I know, I know they want this set up, but I'm telling you, when I look at the 2-3 spot, it's bad that we lose these good teams. I'm sorry. I know, the Stanley Cup's the toughest cup to win. I get all that, but losing these top teams in the first round. I mean, our best hockey we watch is in the first round. Our best series are always in the first round, So I don't like it. And I know Gary, they love this format, but I'm just telling you, I don't like it at all. I'm sorry.
All right. Good job this week. It's almost up there with PJ Stock. Almost.
I can't believe he's still on the air. I can't believe that.
Maybe
I thought he was done years before me,
Maybe
and
he
he's
should.
He's still kicking around.
I think he's going to write a book and, maybe you can ghostwrite it for him.
I'll never forget. Speaking of him, it reminded me of the time me and you were on the desk and Ty Domi came in the studio and you said something smart to him and he grabbed you and hauled you right over the desk. Remember that?
That's a given. It's happened 1,000 times.
And put you in a headlock. That's what PJ would do to me if he was sitting here with me right now.
All right, Mac, great job on Off the Rails Friday once again, my friend. Have a great weekend.
you know what? A couple of things before I go.
Oh, no.
I think this is a great show when I'm on.
Yes.
And I really appreciate you guys having me on. I've had a big week. I was on with Garriock this week. I've been on with you
I
guys.
saw
It's
that.
been I've been on in Vancouver. I've had a big week.
No.
guys. I'm thankful. I'm thankful.
Your stock's rising.
I don't think you've ever been this popular, even when you worked here daily.
You guys have made my career. You've made my career, and I'm thankful for it.
Well, maybe you can invite us down to Florida, and we can take us out golfing.
I got to run, guys. See you later.
Yeah, there you go. No jersey, no nothing. Doug MacLean. There you go. See, if he was a general manager today, and we asked him to send us a jersey, he'd tell us to go jump in the lake.
Think so?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We're gonna get a Columbus jersey. It's happening.
Yeah. Mentioned Ty. They show him on the broadcast last night.
Yeah.
Literally no reaction to his son.
Which was really cool.
He never has one.
Which was really, I thought, cool because that's your kid out there, and you got 20,000 fans screaming. How do you not kind of have any reaction?
I think that's a fair question. How do you not? Like Keith Kachuk's out there, pom-poms.
You know how you have no reaction? You're like, I did that 1,000 times.
I guess.
That's how it is.
But
don't impress me much.
It's,
Shania.
I've never asked him to come on this show. I never see him do anything. Like, it's pretty, his son is playing on the,
he's low key right now.
Which is, I respect it. I have to say. I really do.
He's flying under the radar, which is
he's a good guy.
Maybe, it's great for Max. He doesn't want to be.
No, I get it.
Right?
I'm just saying that I really do.
Yeah.
Like, I have respect for him. Like, you know, my kid's playing for the Leafs. I used to play for the Leafs. They call me like, hey, you want to come on the radio? I'll be like, yeah, definitely. Like, I have never asked him. I don't think we've ever even asked him to come on, but it's
he wouldn't come on.
It's good.
And for obvious reasons,
Yeah,
right?
I appreciate it.
Don't.
So, anyways.
Good stuff.
Okay.
Game time?
Game time.
Let me get my sheet here. It's game time presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. Heading into, boys, a wonderful weekend of sports. First of all, obviously, there's some great hockey games, but the players at TPC Sawgrass is underway right now. And lots of great names at the top of the leaderboard, including Rory McIlroy, who is 2 shots off the pace. So you can live bet all these golfers now. And Rory McIlroy is the favorite, as you would imagine, 2 strokes back, but he's the biggest name there. So he is plus 400 to win right now, 2 strokes back. Colin Morikawa's at the same place. He's -9 as well. He's plus 425. Akshay Bhatia, who is leading the turn, he's tied for the lead at 11 under, plus 650.
Like that.
And
like that.
You can go down. Yeah, I mean, like if you get a guy that's
in the lead who's that talented, plus
for sure,
650?
For sure. There's also 2 rounds of golf to play at one of the most prestigious golf tournaments. He's a young guy. There's lots to go off of here. But the number I really love, and I don't think you're ever going to find a guy this good close to that number pre-tournament ever.
Canadian?
No. Scotty Scheffler is right now plus 1,400 to win this golf tournament.
How many dollars?
And he's -5 right now, and the leaders are at -11. As you remember last year, if you're a big golf fan, he was way back going into Sunday.
7 or 8.
Made a big charge on Sunday, ends up winning the golf tournament. Plus 1,400 for Scotty Scheffler.
What do you think
You're not going to
wins
see
the
that.
tournament?
I can't remember. No, I can't remember what it got to last year. Maybe like 18 or 19 won last year. I can't remember.
That's a big couple of days for Chef. I know, but at plus 1,400.
It's a great value. And if we're looking at our Canadians, I think Connors is having a decent day today. I'm trying to quickly pull him up here.
Kipper's boy.
I mean, he just strikes the hell out of the ball. He's a beautiful golfer. I'm quickly trying to find it here. Blah, blah, blah. Here he is. He is plus, so 150 to 1 right now to win the golf tournament. But he is pretty far back. So maybe a top 10 bet or something else for there. So some great hockey this weekend. And tonight, our Utah Hockey Club in Seattle to take on the Kraken. Give me the Hockey Club. -155 in their pursuit of the final playoff spot. I feel very un-Canadian, but I've been bought. So go Utah, go. And that was Game Time presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds to find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly.
Okay, let's take a quick break. When we return, we'll get into some NHL news and notes. Text us at
calls.
590-590 if you got something to say. Sammy will read it out.
And I got a call for us, too.
Maybe pick up on the conversation, too, on top 10 teams facing each other in the first round. If you guys have any solutions, I don't.
Yeah, 1-8. Stop
No,
this.
stop.
Ah.
Also, Connor Bedard's season got a little worse last night. We'll explain when we return to Real Kyper and Bourne. As a reminder, this hour of Real Kyper and Bourne brought to you by Bet365. Did you know how I remembered that? Our Austin Mackey wrote it down. Reminder.
What do you mean?
I'm saying that it's right here. Reminder.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote the lineup. I write the lineup every day.
Did you put reminder?
Kipper, that's been there every day since the start of the season.
You need to remind me to read the reminder. Okay?
I want to go back and print off every lineup and just present it. I put that there every day.
I've done this show for 4 years. This is the first time I've noticed
Listen,
it
boys,
says reminder.
Hey, I got to say, we got, you guys told me my lineups, they sucked. They sucked for multiple years, and I made a real effort, and it's gotten a little better. Wouldn't say it's great, gotten better, but I have put that reminder there every day this year.
Too cute
there.
at times.
I look at my lineups from last year. They were brutal. Like, how did you guys not just be like, you suck at this?
Significantly better.
Way better.
Yeah, I mean, the crayon's not smudging anymore. First of all.
Very helpful. I use it all the time.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Before break, we just discussed good teams eliminating each other in the first round. It's been an ongoing thing. Can you give me one good idea outside of seeing this happen again and again?
I just want 1-8. I would even be fine with 1-16. Because to me, the higher you climb in the standings, there should be a reward. You should have a better chance to advance out of the first round. It's just, hockey is too much of a coin flip. The NBA, the best, 4 of the best 5 teams are the last 4 standing almost every year. The NHL, it's too much of a coin flip that we needed a bigger reward for regular season success. Because right now we're going to say, congrats, Colorado and Dallas. You get each other for your 100-point seasons. Congrats, Toronto and Tampa, or Florida and Tampa. You get each other.
They got the general manager meetings next week. I have no idea what they're going to talk about, but usually it's nothing. And everybody has a really good time in Florida.
There's nothing you love to crap on more than the general manager meetings. Whenever this has been a tent pole from the start of our show.
I cannot think of a bigger waste of money than sending people down there to cover things that you try your best to make them sound really important.
What do you guys think of overtime? It's pretty good. Yeah.
One more thing before we move on. I wouldn't want necessarily to change the order of meeting somebody more than I want to change the points and the standings. And in the 4 nations, we saw
3-point system.
3-point system.
What a
regulation.
concept.
There's nothing I hate more than giving a point up on a loss. To me, it's just one of the dumbest things the NHL's done over the course of their history is reward a team for losing. And I don't care if it is a shootout or not. A loss is a loss. A loss means 0 points.
Yeah. How about if you look at the distribution of goals scored by minute in the NHL, pretty level. There's some spikes at the beginning and end of periods. In a tie game in the third period, goals now drop. You stop getting goals because both teams at about the 3-minute mark go,
comfort.
Just get it to overtime. Let's get to OT and we'll sort it out from there. There's no incentive to push, where in a 3-point system, a regulation win is worth more than an overtime win. So let's go get the
Think about that now as teams chase for a spot.
You might pull your goalie to try to get the regulation win.
Ovi'd love that. 1 through 8. Do you want to do the 1 through 8 in the East? Like the matchups?
Compared to what it is now? Do you have what it is now?
I mean, I have what it is 1 versus 8, so I'll start with that. It's Washington and Columbus in the first round.
Yep.
Florida versus Ottawa in the first round. Carolina versus New Jersey.
And Leafs in Tampa Bay.
The wild card right now would be Florida versus Columbus, Toronto versus Tampa, Washington versus Ottawa, and Carolina and New Jersey.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. I mean, the other side, too, where Dallas is probably going to finish with the second most points, and the difference in their first-round draw is either Minnesota or Colorado. Pretty big swing to me. So
yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But I think what it comes down to is a little bit more about the intrigue down the stretch as opposed to like the actual matchups where, I mean, speaking for Leaf fans, the last multiple seasons, it's been a death march to Tampa or a death march to Boston, where it's just like, yeah, they're playing Boston. Yeah, they're playing Tampa. And got to tell you, boys, we're about to head to a
would this be the fourth time they played Tampa in the Core 4 era in the first
third.
round?
Third. They played them twice, split the matchups, and they've played Boston a bunch of times, lost them all.
Yeah,
Columbus,
Montreal.
Okay.
Okay.
Vegas signs goaltender Aiden Hill to a 6-year contract. 6.25 is the AAV. No, just why does it feel like Vegas has unlimited amount of funds and unlimited amount of assets?
Yeah. I don't know. They do find ways to work magic, though, don't they?
They're really.
If Hill is a legitimate starter, a league average or better, that's a nice contract. I want to make sure we get to any calls we have. So unless you have a ton to say on Aiden Hill, we have calls.
Bedard, though.
Okay.
He got a 10-minute misconduct, abuse of the official. Usually I like to see a referee wrestle to the ice to see abuse of an official, but they tagged this one with a 10-minute misconduct. I know the kid has some issues, right?
Does he?
Yeah, he does.
What's his issues?
Well, issues, immaturity, just too much too soon.
Mm-hmm.
How's that for issues?
Sure.
Playing on the worst franchise in the
that's
league,
not just on him.
No.
It's on the Chicago Blackhawk organization as well. So he's got to grow up a little bit here, but let's not forget he's still very young, right? So I get all of that, but I don't know. I think it sucks that a 10-minute misconduct for something that you said gets portrayed as abuse of the official. To me, those words on something that you said shouldn't mix.
Meaning the official. Yeah, and the team is basically like, I've heard a lot worse, right? Didn't they say stuff to that effect? So
I mean, heroic ref. Like you're gonna pull the 19-year-old kid that's having an awful year out of a game.
He's gonna have 60 points this year, but anyway.
You know what I mean. Yeah. I think you could maybe just skate by him.
Yeah,
Make a big show of it. Make us talk about it. Anyways,
okay.
We actually had a couple calls that were non-Leaf related, and I thought maybe they could encourage more people to call in for this part of our show too. So
we'd love that.
I like this call from Oshman in St. Catharines.
Paul Maurice stated last year, if they can't win the cup again, he hopes Winnipeg does. If they play each other in the finals, I'd like to hear you fellas talk about mixed emotions. Of course, he wants to win the cup. If he doesn't, Winnipeg does. How does he feel afterwards? Love to hear your comments. Thanks, guys.
Thought we should sneak in a little Jets talk, boys.
Good question.
Yeah.
I mean, he obviously doesn't care. He wants Florida to
He's
win.
not the first coach to leave the way he left Winnipeg.
Are you kidding me?
Just disappointed or, frustrated or all of it.
I can't remember another coach.
It was strange.
Yeah.
It was strange.
It's a weird one.
But at the end of the day, it's always the same. Like, I don't care how you portray it. He knows the truth. Winnipeg knows the truth. They ran out of time or patience for each other.
Yeah.
It's not uncommon.
Yeah. It was strange midseason to be like, can't win with these guys. Bye-bye. And then he goes to win and he's like, kind of feel bad about leaving my ex who's struggling now. Hope things go better for
There's nothing
them.
struggling about either one of them. It's a real thought that they can meet in a Stanley Cup final.
It would be really awesome.
That's a great narrative battle.
Yeah.
Like the guy that left there and like it's been a slow build for them to get back to this place and they finally get it. It's the old coach. Be an incredible
like
story.
Shifley to shoot it in to win it or something.
It would be a real good storyline.
Yeah.
My God, is that Blake Wheeler's music?
Sign him right before that last. Yeah, that would be awesome. Good question.
How about the last call? This is a Vancouver-related one. John Doe from Parts Unknown. Sorry.
Well, I just realized I believe, and I think it's just for the Leafs, but I'm curious what you guys would think, and maybe you could put this out there. If Rick Tocchet is possibly fired from Vancouver, is it time to bring some of the old core back to Philadelphia? Does Rick Tocchet go to Philadelphia next year? That's my prediction. I'm thinking Rick Tocchet is the head coach of the Philadelphia Flyers next year because Torts' run is done. Thanks, fellas. Love the show.
That is out there already, with nothing to back it up, nothing concrete or
Whispers.
At least from
The
my
streets are
perspective, is that people have said that that's a possibility to me without having any more knowledge or information or concrete evidence that this is where it could lead for him.
Well, two thoughts. One, I think it's fascinating to ask about Tocchet not going back to Vancouver right after talking about Maurice leaving Winnipeg and going to have success, because you could feel like Tocchet's like, that's enough of this.
Yeah. Nor he's going to coach next year? Literally anywhere else.
I think so. But the question you'd have to ask about Philly is they're pretty happy with Torts and the progress of their young guys and where they're at. I don't think they're going to fire him. Would he take another role with the team?
I think.
Move up?
Yes, I think that's more of a possibility, unless Torts wants to just shut it down.
Yeah.
If
Probably
he's
made a
had
couple
enough,
of bucks along the way.
right? He's got a lot of other passions, including his love of animals. I mean, who knows with Torts if he's had enough or not.
I love that Torts loves animals because, he's just like, I like that they don't talk back. I just like it. There's love here, but they don't
It's a good
talk.
point.
Yeah. My number one hope for Tocchet is he goes back to TNT so we get to come back on the show.
Yeah, great guest.
God. We used to have him on all the time in our first 2 years.
With those guys, there's always that buffer that they're just there to wait for their next job.
Yeah.
And if Torts goes back and knows he ain't going back, he'd be even better than you remember.
No, if Torts went back.
Torts went back to TV, yeah.
Take
He went
the
back to
governor off
TV
and just let him.
without the governor, without me. Did you ever put a T in the golf cart and find the governor?
Yeah.
But they go 1,000 miles an hour.
Absolutely.
It is
F1.
unbelievable.
Never even heard of doing this.
You've never heard of this?
Lift up the seat.
You lift up the seat, you find where that governor is, and then you stick a T in it, which keeps it from closing.
It's the world's
And
fastest
it's like,
lawnmower.
What you just heard was the sound of hundreds of golf course supervisors hearing us like, shut the hell up, Kyper. What are you talking?
But don't do it. But don't do it unless you've got written permission from the general manager
for sure.
of your course.
Yeah, for sure. You're going to get that.
Am I safe now? Legally?
Legally, you're good.
Yeah. What a week.
What a week.
See you Monday.
That's it?
Yeah, I'm done.
Enough,
right.
eh? All right.
Enjoy your game. What do we have on the network tonight? We got Detroit and Carolina, 7 p.m. Eastern, and then Colorado and Calgary. Calgary. We're back Monday.
Calgary.
Have a great weekend, everybody.